So I've been reading the BlackWater series by Michael McDowell for the last 2 weeks or so. I should say from the start that I really enjoyed the series. So it's a 6-part series, 6 books series. I really felt like each book could have been like an episode. If it was like a TV show or something, it would have fit that format really good. Meaning, having one episode a book, or maybe one season a book. I don't know, but I really felt like it was made for TV in a way. I cared for almost all characters in the books. There are some characters are here and there, that are there just to die, in my opinion. So that's why also I feel like it was kind of a TV show in a way, because TV shows nowadays, there's characters introduced in a season that are introduced to us just so they can die actually in that season or in that episode. Sometimes also I felt like this in that book once again, to come back to that whole TV show aspect of the books. But it's not, it's not a negative at all. So I really feel like, it could have been a TV show made today, and that's something that I would like to see actually. Like Mike Flanagan has done with Hunting of Hill House and Hunting of Bly Manor. I really think that, this could fit this type of TV shows really good actually. Maybe The Hunting of BlackWater, or I don't know, of Perdido. I don't know, but yeah, if I really enjoyed that, and I would like to see that in a TV show or movie actually. I think it would fit that format really good actually. So mainly the story, so I've kind of said the story for each books, but the story as a whole, we're mainly following this family, so the Kasky family, during, from 1919 until 1960, 1970-ish, something like this. We're mainly following, the family when a stranger comes into their town and into their family. So Eleanor, she's quote unquote rescued from the flood that happened in 1919 in Perdido. So the Blackwater River just overflowed and flooded the town, most of the town, and she was rescued, quote unquote rescued, in a hotel that was almost entirely flooded. She's like on the second story or something like this. So it's a horror book, but not horror like we're used to. In that sense, it felt like Hunting of Bly Manor by Mike Flanagan, because Hunting of Bly Manor was more sad than really horror, in my opinion. And this thing here felt almost the same. It's more sad, the passing of time and everything. There are horror elements. There are a lot of horror elements. Some gore happening also. Some creatures, it's kind of a creature feature, but also it's a ghost story. Not really, it's not about the ghosts, but there are ghosts in it, so hauntings. But yeah, there are horror elements. There are horror elements to the story, but it's not all about horror. It's more about, as I said, kind of the passing of time, and how time just everything dies in the end, essentially. There are some religious elements also, but they're more really in the background. There's not a lot of them in the book. It's just, there's this preacher that's talked about like in book 1, and she comes back in the end. Not necessarily her, but her family, like her daughters, comes more like later on, maybe 5th book or 6th. I don't really remember, but yeah, just to show, the religious elements are not that present, but there's still some just thrown here and there, throughout the story, actually. So yeah, back with the quote-unquote horror. No, okay. Back with the main topics of the book. So it's not really horror. As I said, it's more about the passing of time, family relationships, how when you do something, how it's going to impact your family in the future, even though you're trying to do your best, but sometimes doing your best, good intention. Hell is paved with good intentions or whatever. So I really liked all these concepts within the book, actually. But as I said, there are some horror element, gothic horror. So it's more. The story is more grounded than what I was used to by Mr. McDowell, actually. Usually it's a bit more supernatural. And here there's still, supernatural things happening, like the river creatures, water creatures that are there, and the ghosts. But it's more about the family themselves. So in a weird way, I guess it would be kind of like Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is not about, I'm not going to say his name a third time, but, about the character named in the movie. It's more about the family. It's the same thing in here. It's more about the Kasky family than it is really about the creatures, about the ghosts, or even about the BlackWater River or the Perdido city. Actually, it's more about the Kasky family and how this dysfunctional family reacts to one another and kind of their relationships within themselves and with the town. So we see the relationship between the family and the town near the end of the series. So in book 5 or 6, around this. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Once again, it's more about the family than it is really about anything else, about the creatures, the supernatural thingies, and so on. So I'm going to end the video with the ranking of the books. So mainly, I'm going to just put them in order. The ones that I like best are going to be first, and ending with the ones that I liked less. I liked all the books. It's just that, some of them were slightly better in my opinion. So at number 1, book number 3, I think it's the best out of the 6. It has the more violent death in it. It has a lot of, it's not really gore, but it has gore and a lot of supernatural things happening. And it was really good, throughout the book. I really enjoyed that book, actually. Then we have book number 4, and it could have been my favorite one, book number 4, just for the ending. It's just that I felt like book number 3 was slightly better, just because, the action was happening throughout the book. And in book 4, it's just the ending that was so good. So yeah, I still have shivers just thinking about the end of book 4, actually. Then we have book number 6. So the end, it's just because it's the ending, everything goes, it just wraps up the story very nicely. I really enjoyed book number 6. Then at number 4, we have book number 1, The Flood. So it's, further down the list like this, only because it was just slower than the rest of the books. But still, I really enjoyed that first book, all the characters being introduced and everything. So I really enjoyed that one. Then we have book number 2, The Levy. It's almost the book that I liked the less, mainly because there's a lot of explanation as to the construction of the levee, essentially, and I didn't really care that much about that. But still, I really enjoyed that book. There's a lot of weird things happening again. There's this one death that's really brutal, and we know why that person dies, but it's still, don't make that much sense. Actually, it's a senseless death, but it's a good one in the book, actually. And then the last one is book number 5. So this is the book that I liked less, mainly because it's the slowest one, and it's just, there's no supernatural happening. It's just a relationship between the family. Uh, this is the only one that I didn't really connect with, that I still like read in 2 days or something like this, you know, even though I liked it less, but it just goes to show that I really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed this series actually, and I truly believe that everybody should read it, and it should be a TV show or something. We need to see that it was actually very great. Once again, made by a great author that I can't wait to read more from. That's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching.